What's up, guys? It's me again, Felipe. It's a pleasure to be with you guys again. Okay, and here today I have a guest. In this Ep001, I'm very glad to introduce you guys to this amazing guy that I just met the other day. And we're gonna get to know him. And today we're gonna talk about St. Patrick's Day. Okay, so it's gonna be an amazing podcast. We're very excited. And if you don't follow us, still go there, click on the button, click on the ring, subscribe, and don't forget to share with your friends if you're listening through the podcast, through Spotify or Deezer. Okay, it's a pleasure to be with you guys. And let's start this beautiful interview. My first one of many, and I'm very excited. And here we go. So, bro, first of all, what's your name?
My name's Richie.
Richie, nice to meet you.
Richie's here. My name is Salim. Nice to meet you. Good to meet you.
Good to have you here. Richie, what do you do, man, for a living?
I'm an English language teacher, so my whole job is teaching other people how to speak English and hopefully able to live in Ireland, get jobs in Ireland, and adapt to being here.
Here you go, just like me. I'm an English teacher too. If you guys don't know, now you do. But anyways, and where are you from?
I'm from Dublin. I'm from South Dublin, kind of near enough to Ringsends, which is traditionally a more working class area, but now it's right beside Google. So it's one of these areas that's starting to be gentrified and really becoming very different to how the area I grew up in was.
Here we go, gentrified. That's a very interesting question. Is the same word in Portuguese?
Yeah.
And then can you explain what's the gentrification mean?
Yeah, of course. So gentrification is the process of making an area that is usually traditionally more working class or more associated with certain groups being made more appropriate for wealthy people. Essentially, they want to increase rents, increase areas, so everything becomes more fancy. So, yeah, they want to make you pay more money.
Exactly. So all the fancy people come in.
Exactly.
And all these people that don't have money, they start to move.
They get pushed out, and they get pushed more and more to the peripheries, not just of the city, but also of society. And this is where you get a lot of this, aggression coming between certain classes, as with every country. When you have, a upper class and the lower class fighting more and more because the upper classes are pushing the lower classes out and taking what is traditionally associated with their cities.
That is so true. This is happening in São Paulo right now, where the downtown area where
all the working class used to be,
they're being pushed out of the city to go further. And the problem is, when you go further to the city, you need to commute more.
Exactly.
Life gets more stressful. You need to pay more bills. You need to pay,
your day is longer too.
Exactly.
You have to spend 2 hours on a commute or something like that. It's weird.
We're talking about Ireland, which is a very small country, guys. São Paulo is a massive city. We have 12 million people in the city of São Paulo.
Yeah, nearly triple what we have in our entire country.
Here we go. It's a very small island, tiny country. But if you have to commute for 1 hour and a half, that's a way too long time.
Exactly, and it means that you're being punished for not having the money that people want to have to be in this area. So it's again another reason why you get a lot of conflict between two groups. That's they feel they're being attacked.
Here we go. That's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Dublin. So because my audience, they don't have any idea of how Dublin it is, how it is D12 or D10, whatever.
North, south,
Exactly. So we got the north, south, west, and east.
Yes.
And where are you from?
I'm from the southeast.
Yeah, what's the name of the place?
So it's Ringsend. So it's kind of very close to the beach.
Okay.
So lovely area. At certain parts, it's very close to Sandymount and Dublin 4, which is kind of the whole area. It's got a lot of the businesses like Facebook, Google are in there now. So it's also associated with, not the part that I'm from, unfortunately, but the wider area is also associated with people's love life.
Bro, now switching to your accent.
Yes.
Because that was the first thing I mentioned to you when I met you at the gym. So I met him at the gym the other day, and he's like, is it raining outside? I was like, bro, why do you sound American?
Why do you sound like a Yankee?
That was something very interesting that stood out for me when we met. So let's talk a little bit about accents, because in Dublin, in Ireland in general, there's like so many accents that you even get lost. It's even hard for you.
Oh, absolutely. I can't always understand everything everyone's saying when they're speaking in English.
Here we go. So he's an English teacher,
Yes.
a native English speaker, and he himself doesn't understand everybody. So if you are learning English,
Don't feel bad.
exactly, don't get discouraged, please. Just keep on going. You eventually gonna understand, I promise.
Or you won't, but it'll be okay because no one else does either. There's certain people that you'll never understand, and that's fine.
Okay. So
Not about you. It's all about the way
exactly,
they.
just don't get it personal.
No.
That's the thing. I've heard so many different accents in
Yes.
Dublin. So let's talk about the accents here in Dublin. Which ones can you name it?
Oh, so we've got an inner city accent, which is from like the very central part where people tend to like work more than they live, but it also tends to be where like Little Brazil is there. So a lot of the like Dublin 1, which is the main like shopping district, a lot of Brazilians seem to have moved in there. Like Summerdelp, which is known as like traditionally a working class area, but now a lot of Brazilians have kind of moved in. So you're more likely to hear Portuguese than you will English, which is very, very unusual. So you're walking in and like, oh, okay, like Dublin, hey, on our avenues.
Do you know, can you imitate the Brazilians talking in English?
I know, TG. No understand, G.
I don't have a Facebook.
No Facebooky, no internet, G.
Here we go. And what about the... Let's see. Check this out. The coaches. The people from the
Outside Dublin.
outside Dublin.
Again, often, particularly by Dublin people, always said to be one culty accent because it's just not from Dublin. I think it's true of every main city, like Rio, Sao Paulo. I'm sure they do the same. Everyone not from that city is just the same. But it's so different. So for a tiny, tiny island, the accent variation is huge. In Dublin, there's about 5-6 accents. In Ireland, there's about like 13 to 14 different accents. It's like the accent from where I am in Dublin is entirely different from the West, where people will speak with their mouths basically closed. So it's mumbling all the time.
Here we go.
So I met a lovely couple on a plane who were from Kerry, and I didn't understand a single word they said. So I had to pretend I was from Canada just so they wouldn't feel bad that someone from their country didn't understand them. So it's so different.
Seriously. So do not get discouraged if you're not understanding when someone is talking English to you, okay? Because it's hard. People have, like, some people are less.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
mumble. Some people don't open their mouths, don't articulate when they talk. So sometimes it's just very unclear. Don't get discouraged, okay?
Absolutely. Especially if you're not living in a country where English is the first language, you're going to only have associations with TV English, and TV English is not real English.
That's what people expect when they get out of Brazil. As soon as they get outside of Brazil, they think everybody's going to sound American.
No,
Clear.
Even in America, they don't sound like that.
Exactly. There is even different accents in America, too. Here we go.
All the stuff you hear on like the Big Bang Theory, because everyone says, oh, I understood every episode of a Big Bang Theory.
Oh, wow.
Why don't I understand a fluent speaker? They're paid to sound good.
That's true.
Even if you hear those actors in the real world, they're not going to speak the same.
Exactly. That's Hollywood.
Yeah. Not
Don't,
real.
don't buy that shit.
Completely fake.
You know, I want to ask you about teaching. How long have you been teaching?
I've been teaching for about 13 years, and that's just teaching English. So teaching in general, I've been doing since I was about 12 years old, in some way or form. I think it's one of these things where teachers are always born to be teachers, as you know. So
That's true.
it's a vocation because you're not getting any money for it, really.
Or not well paid.
No. It's like nurses. They're never paid as much as they should be for how much work they do. But that's why you have to love what you do.
Exactly.
So I taught sports. I taught in other countries. I lived in Ethiopia. I taught English there to little kids. And that was where I kind of really focused on starting to teach English and languages to people. Because it's, you can kind of see it in their faces, particularly with lower levels. If you're teaching someone who's just learning, and that look of realization in their face when they finally get something they've been struggling with. It's pure joy, pure happiness. Come on. Yeah. they go, oh my God, I never understood what someone was saying before, and now it makes sense.
And that's the beauty of being a teacher.
Yeah.
Right? You like craft your knowledge and then you share it so people can strive and also understand other people.
It's about building other people and letting them become what they want to be. And you have to get joy from that, otherwise teaching's not for you.
Hey guys, so if you're not a teacher, be a teacher.
Yes.
Here we go. So now we're gonna move to the topic of the podcast with St. Patrick's Day. So we're gonna release this episode on St. Patrick's Day. I'm pretty sure.
I should have worn green.
Man,
Wearing the wrong color.
me too. Yeah, don't worry about that, man. He's gonna
edit it. We're all gonna be fully green, like the Hulk. Even the skin color will be
he's
green.
gonna even put hats on.
Oh yeah, be a little leprechaun sitting here.
Here we go. So the question is, who is St. Patrick's?
So St. Patrick is considered the patron saint of Ireland, often associated with Ireland as a country, despite not being from Ireland. It was actually a slave from Wales who was bought by a priest or monk from Ireland, because, you know, slave trade back there, it's not exclusive to any region. So came over from Wales, became very into, obviously being owned by a monk, became very into religion because that's what he would have been helping out with, and then decided to, once he was no longer a slave, start preaching and how like Catholic religion to Irish people, because Irish was predominantly pagan at that time.
Okay.
So that's how the story goes, including the shamrock, actually, which Ireland is so famous for. His idea of the shamrock, the three leaves, was that it symbolized the Trinity, because it was the Father, the Jesus, and the Holy Spirit all combined into one thing. And that was the idea he used to explain it to people, was, oh, these three things are separate but also the same. And that's why, despite what a lot of people think about the four-leaf clover being the association with Ireland, it's actually the three-leaf shamrock.
Here we go, guys. So I'll put the picture here of what is a three-leaf clover or is it a shamrock? Who is gonna do that for us? You got us.
Here you got us, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Appreciate it. And how do Irish people celebrate St. Patrick's Day?
Alcohol. Some stereotypes are true. Irish people do love drinking.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, not the only country, of course, but no, it's, you know. There is the parade, which doesn't come from Ireland. The parade is actually something that came from the States. And it is still the biggest parade celebrating St. Patrick's Day is in New York. The one here doesn't compare whatsoever. They have like floats and everything, I think, as well. So it's much of a bigger deal in other countries, because it's always about taking this piece of your country that you're no longer in, and be able to celebrate it much more. Because if you're not in your country, you're never more of it.
Here we go. So you guys go to the streets, grab a few drinks. Is there like
Not supposed to.
Is there a bar with like speakers, like the music?
Oh, it depends on where you go. So certain parts of Dublin have become much more modernized in terms of celebrating St. Patrick's Day, because traditionally it would have just been like, go watch the parade, stand there for a few hours, go home.
Or get bored and go home.
Get bored, go home, because, you know, it is March in Ireland. It's probably going to rain, and it's definitely not going to be hot. So there's only so long you can stand outside for and look at parade floats. They all start to look the same after a while when you need to go to the toilet. And then the drinking starts, if it hasn't already. We're not supposed to drink on the streets because that is illegal, unlike some countries where it's perfectly fine. It does not stop anyone.
But nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you're not causing a problem, I think they generally don't get too upset.
So, do you guys go to the streets like early in the morning?
Generally, yes. So the parade usually starts around 11 o'clock, 12
Okay.
o'clock. But if people, especially if they're not going to the parade, they tend to start drinking maybe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, as soon as they can get alcohol. If they haven't already bought it, which they usually have. Yeah, and then there's a tradition they have. We're obviously supposed to be wearing green.
Here we go. It is green.
It's green, yes.
Yeah. This
Not
is
orange.
our people's switch.
The people, like in America, people get pinched if they're not wearing green. I've never seen that happen here. But yeah, like you're not wearing the right color, so they have to pinch you. It's another one of these things I think originated with the parade in the US.
So it's quite funny. So you guys go until like midnight?
There's only so long people can drink for before they're too drunk and have passed out, which is usually, if you start at 10, 11, probably around 7 o'clock. Sometimes people take a break in the middle of the day. Luckily, it's usually followed by the weekend or a day off.
So do you guys just celebrate on the 17th, or you guys celebrate on the 18th?
No, it just tends to be a one-day affair.
Here we go. And the other question is, what's the relevance of St. Patrick's in the Irish culture?
Again, it tends to be one of these things that it's more important the further away you are from Ireland. In Ireland, a lot of people would just consider it, thank God it's a day off. I've been waiting for one of these for a while. But there is a lot of culture associated with it. People who practice Irish and the national language here, which very few people speak, the ones who do, it's a perfect opportunity for them to actually use that language and be celebrated for it. Irish dancing is done everywhere, and it's just more important to be Irish on those days for Irish people. And then if you're in another country, it's a way to kind of think about your roots. And
here we go.
That's why I think it's so important in the States, because they often are looking for roots because their country's so much newer. So being able to find something like that in Patrick's Day is quite important.
It's very interesting because there's a very deep meaning. In Brazil, there is also like a very deep meaning for Carnival.
Yes.
But of course, people...
Your version's way better. We eat pancakes. You have a celebration.
That is true. Absolutely true. Well, we're a bigger country too,
yes.
Right? But there is also... It is also... what's the name? A Catholic holiday.
Very much so.
But also people use it as an excuse to get drunk, get crazy, get divorced, kill people in the streets, getting to act.
It's been wild.
It is wild. But there is also this meaning of a Catholic holiday, which I cannot explain because I'm not Catholic.
I am technically.
Yeah.
It's in Ireland. A lot of people are born Catholic, because it's really not like Ireland has become a much more secular country in the last few years. Like religion is not so much part of Ireland as it was even in the 90s. Like when I was a child, it was a much bigger deal, and then as millennials and Gen X's started being the ones who made decisions, things became far less focused on religion. And much more about like celebrating maybe your roots, regardless of what they were in religion.
And where we go. Well, that's interesting. In Brazil, there is another symbol or symbolism, because we also have samba, right? Samba is a very, it's a music rhythm from Brazil, and the thing is, samba, the origins of samba comes from the ghetto, right? Like, so you have these slaves after the abolish of the slavery in Brazil in the late 18th, right? And then they didn't have any place to go, any place to start their lives over, and the government did not help them.
No, governments so rarely do.
Exactly. So they started to create these ghettos, these hoods in favelas. That's right, favela comes from, like where they were living in hills and make all this wood slam boxes where they used to live in.
And brightly colored as well. Is that's something that the premise?
The colors came after. Did that come after? Yeah, it came after. But then the only thing that they have to have fun, it was music. Yeah, that's where samba comes from, for real, originally. So we have this parade to tell a story, not just of the Catholic holidays, but also the struggle and how we came up with something so beautiful in the midst of so much pain.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a much more relevant thing nowadays to a lot of people, is that struggle, because that hasn't gone away, unfortunately. It's everywhere. You see it in like Brazil, you see it in, less so in Ireland, but you see it a lot in the US, and people are still struggling to be accepted for who they are. Ireland is, in my experience, it is more accepting, but it had nowhere for our previous performances. Yeah, made it up.
Anyways, what's the takeaway for the podcast?
Celebrate Patrick's Day.
Sure.
Wear some green.
Yeah.
And it's not a four-leaf clover, it's a fruiting shamrock.
There you go.
Don't trust American cereal.
That's it, guys. So it was a pleasure to have you here, Richie. Thank you so much for being with us. Guys, that's the podcast for today. I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys have a great time. And here's some prissy tea. Here we go. Sunshine.
It never happens.
It never happens. That's a miracle, actually.
He didn't fake it. It is real, but...
It's not an addition.
No.
Thank you so much, guys. I hope you guys enjoy and see you next time. Bye.